Listen, I'm going to say this in a way that might mess with the way you've seen your whole life so far. What if the most important thing you did today didn't look holy, didn't feel powerful, and nobody clapped for it but heaven treated it like thunder? What if the thing you keep calling barely surviving is the exact moment God leaned back, laughed, like someone who's already seen the ending, and said, "Oh, the enemy really thought that was going to work"? And what if you didn't land on this video by accident at all, but because heaven literally interrupted your scroll and said, "Nope, stop here, this one's for you"? If something in your chest just went, "Wait, that's me. Don't click away. Stay with me." Let me say something most people never hear. What if the reason nothing big has happened yet isn't because God is slow or you're failing, but because the moment you fully step into what you carry, the entire system you've been surviving inside stops working the same way? What if delay wasn't absence, but containment? Because whether you believe in divine timing or you're still on the fence about all of this, you're standing in the middle of something much bigger than another day, I barely got through. You're standing at the edge of a shift. So, chosen one, yes, I'm talking to you. Let's go straight in. You are not here by accident. I know people say that all the time, but I want you to hear it like a real person telling you a real thing, not a preacher line. The timing of this moment is not random. Call it God, call it heaven, call it the universe, finally answering the ache you've been pretending not to feel. But something has lined things up so your life crosses this exact word at this exact point in your story. In the language of Scripture, there's this idea of an appointed time, not someday, not maybe one day when I'm better, but a specific moment where what's been brewing in the dark finally steps into the light. That appointed time, it's not far off in the distance anymore. It's not next year. It's not one day when I'm more holy, more healed, more organized, more consistent. It's pressing in on you right now, today, tonight, in the next hours. This is a Kairos moment, a collision between God's timing and your timeline. And the crazy part? You've felt it already, that quiet stirring, that weird tension, the sense that something is about to break, but you can't explain what. You've been walking around with this low key, knowing that there's more to your story than just surviving bills, scrolling feeds, and carrying pain that no one sees. Pause here for a second. This is the part most people skip, and that's why they stay stuck. Heaven has already opened its mouth over you, and on the other side of your tired day, there is this sound laughter. Not mocking you, not laughing at your struggle, but laughing in triumph, because the ending of this battle is not a question mark anymore. What was designed to bury you has become the soil your blessing is growing in. That's not poetic fluff, that's spiritual reality. I know because I've lived the version of your day where everything looks small and pointless. I've prayed prayers that sounded so weak I almost felt embarrassed saying Amen. I've forgiven people who never apologized and probably never will. I've dragged myself out of bed on mornings where the only win was I didn't quit, and that didn't feel like a win at all. But over time, I started to notice a pattern. The moments that felt the most invisible to me carried the most weight in the long run. The small yes that nobody saw, the quiet decision to keep going, the tiny act of faith when fear was screaming, those weren't footnotes, those were turning points. That's why I'm telling you this with full honesty. What you did today may look ordinary, fragile, almost ridiculous in the face of your problems. But in heaven, it was a boom. It was registered. It rose like a shout even if it left your mouth like a whisper. And when it did, heaven laughed not with a shallow laugh, but with the satisfaction of a father who already knows the ending. That sound, that was victory announced over your life. You're way too hard on yourself, by the way. You compare your pace to somebody else's highlight reel and stamp yourself behind. You replay old mistakes like a bad playlist and tell yourself your steps are too weak, too late, too messy to count. But heaven doesn't score your life the way Instagram bosses or even church people do. Where you see weakness, God sees courage. Where you see a tiny seed, He sees an entire forest. Where you see a trembling prayer whispered through tears, He sees the kind of faith that shakes invisible kingdoms. You look at your life and say, "It's not enough." Heaven looks and says, "This is exactly the kind of ground I can work with. I've been through those hidden seasons that almost broke me. I've had days where just not quitting felt like the only thing I could offer, and I hated that it felt so small. But it was in those exact seasons that I learned this: the smallest honest yes carries more eternal power than 1,000 loud, empty performances. A hidden act of obedience, choosing to stay kind, choosing not to numb out, choosing to keep hoping, can ripple through generations you'll never see. That's why heaven erupted with laughter over you today. You didn't just survive another day. You interrupted a plan. You broke a pattern. You stood where collapse looked certain. You spoke when it would have been easier to shut down. You moved forward when fear screamed, "Freeze." That fragile obedience delighted heaven. Think of a toddler's first steps, shaky, clumsy, wobbling. The parent isn't annoyed that it's not perfect. They're cheering. They're walking. That's how God looked at you today. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still curious enough to listen to this instead of giving up that alone, is testimony. Don't underestimate that. The enemy's plan for you was not casual. It wasn't just, "Let's make them a little sad." It was precise. Silence your prayers, bury your hope, convince you that God turned away and you're on your own. Yet here you are, breathing, listening, reaching. Surviving itself is victory. Every breath says, "The plan against me has failed." Every morning you get up, even when you don't want to. Heaven laughs because the enemy lost another round. Your life is not random survival. It is evidence that something bigger still holds you. And if the enemy couldn't remove you yesterday, imagine the fear he feels about what could break loose in your life tomorrow. That's why small obedience must never be dismissed. I remember one night, I don't even remember the date, just the weight. I was sitting on the edge of my bed, lights off, phone face down, knowing I could disappear for a while and nobody would stop me. No dramatic prayer, no music, just this one thought: I don't have the strength to believe, but I don't have the strength to quit either. That was it. That was my prayer. And nothing exploded that night. No miracle, no sign, just sleep. But years later, I realized that was the moment the direction of my life quietly changed. Heaven's economy is upside down compared to ours. The world celebrates big headlines, promotions, followers, and applause. God celebrates the hidden, the prayer no one hears, the forgiveness that gets no like, cop, the sacrifice that costs you deeply but draws zero attention. Every unseen act is written into eternity. Everyone shakes the grip of darkness. I've watched this play out in my own journey. The moments I thought were useless or wasted, those were the ones heaven magnified. The secret, yes. The seed of faith. The step I took with nobody around to clap. Those became the pivots of my breakthrough. Listen carefully now, because if you miss this, the rest sounds like motivation instead of instruction. And today, whether you notice it or not, you've planted seeds that the enemy cannot uproot. Seeds of resilience, seeds of faith, seeds that will bear fruit for people you don't even know yet. Heaven has already responded. God has already laughed. And that laugh means the momentum has shifted. If you could see what changed in the unseen because of what looked so ordinary in your day, you would never call yourself weak again. Chosen one, hold this tight. The very strategy designed to bury you has unraveled. The laugh of heaven is not passive, it is power. It is a decree. It is heaven's way of saying, this battle is already decided. The tide is turning. Favor is leaning toward you. The enemy studied your patterns, built traps around your hesitation, counted on your exhaustion, expected you to fold. But today, you didn't. You gave when you had almost nothing left. You rose when staying down felt easier. You spoke truth when staying quiet would have kept the peace. That move, your move, overturned the board. It was like a chess game where the enemy smirked, convinced of checkmate, and then your small, unexpected move flipped the whole strategy. God laughed because he saw what the enemy never saw coming. You breaking the script. Anointed one. Heaven does not sit around waiting for grand gestures or perfect performances. Heaven responds to faith. Heaven responds to truth. Heaven responds to purity, to a sincere yes. One whispered yes, hidden and trembling, carries more authority than 1,000 dramatic declarations shouted for attention. One secret act of integrity outweighs 100 staged spiritual performances. So stop minimizing yourself. Stop believing your obedience only matters when it's public. Stop comparing your journey to loud people who hide their own struggle behind polished words. Heaven isn't impressed with noise. Heaven treasures depth. And whether you realize it or not, today you proved that depth is alive in you. Maybe you feel unseen. Maybe you believe you're just getting by. But again, survival is not small. Survival is testimony. Every breath says, I am still here. Every step whispers, the plan against me has failed. Every time you choose to keep going, heaven leans forward, rejoicing. They are still standing. What tried to destroy you has already failed. That alone makes your story a living victory. But God isn't stopping at survival. He's declaring more over you. This season is shifting into acceleration. When heaven laughs, it's not just joy, it's signal. It means the soil beneath your feet is getting ready to yield what you cried over, prayed for, and thought was gone. And all of it began with your yes today. Lean closer to this. The laugh of God is not ordinary. It's not shallow amusement. It's holy triumph, strategy, and declaration all wrapped into one sound. When God laughs, he's not reacting, he's announcing. That sound shakes unseen realms. It signals that the atmosphere around your life has already shifted. Chains you thought were welded shut have started to crack. Doors that resisted you for years are loosening. Timelines are bending toward fulfillment. His laughter over you today is proof that your story has entered a new season. Survival itself is more powerful than you think. You've called it weakness. Heaven calls it courage. You outlived storms that were engineered to bury you. You walked through nights that were designed to break you. Yet here you are, alive, still seeking, still open. Do not call that small. Heaven calls it victory. Every sunrise is your announcement to the unseen. The plan against me has failed. I know this place. I've lived through days where even the thought of getting dressed felt like a war. I've prayed so faintly my own voice annoyed me. I've held on to hope while my logic screamed, "This is pointless." And later, sometimes much later, God showed me those exact moments carried eternal weight. Heaven recorded what earth ignored. My sighs were songs, my tears were seeds. My weakness became courage in disguise. And that is exactly what heaven sees in you right now. Heaven celebrates the first step, not just the finish line. The world waits for trophies and highlight moments. Heaven rejoices when you simply move forward at all. That trembling yes you gave today rattled eternity. That tiny act of obedience carried force you can't measure yet. God laughed because he already knows how far this one step will carry you. The world loves visibility. Heaven loves authenticity. A prayer whispered in darkness can break generational patterns. Forgiveness released with no witnesses can open doors for your children's children. A sacrifice no one applauded can birth supernatural increase. Don't despise the hidden. Heaven magnifies what earth overlooks. Think of it like ripples in water. A small stone drops and the splash looks tiny, but the ripples keep traveling long after the stone is gone. Your obedience today was that stone. The splash looked ordinary in your day, but heaven saw waves spreading across eternity. Angels dispatched, seeds underground, starting to push upward. Closed gates beginning to shift. What looked unnoticed has already stirred the unseen. The laugh of God means the game is over. The enemy overplayed his hand. He relied on your old patterns, your past reactions, your previous collapses. But this time you did not fold. You broke the cycle. You chose trust over fear. You chose movement over paralysis. You chose prayer over shutdown. That act rewrote the ending. From this point on, you don't walk as someone crawling toward maybe victory. You walk as someone moving from a victory that's already sealed. Heaven's laughter changes how you carry yourself. You stop shrinking to fit rooms you've outgrown. You stop apologizing for the weight on your life. You stop living for unstable human approval and start moving out of God's steady, unshakable approval. Yesterday was about survival. Today is about increase. The same soil that felt like a grave is about to become your garden. The tears you sowed in secret are coming back as joy. God doesn't laugh without reason. His laughter means breakthrough isn't just on the way, it's started. Now let me zoom this out and make it even more real, because I know how easy it is to hear all this and still think, yeah, but that's just spiritual talk. So picture this in everyday life. There's a single mom who's been holding everything together with duct tape and coffee. Nobody sees her 2 a.m. breakdowns. Nobody applauds the way she keeps choosing patience over screaming when she's exhausted. But heaven has been watching every quiet yes every night she prays over her kids when it feels like nobody's listening. There's a guy working a job he hates because it's the only thing keeping the lights on. He feels like he's wasting his potential. He doesn't feel anointed. But every day he chooses integrity when it would be so easy to cut corners. He doesn't know that in heaven's records, Those choices weigh more than 100 public sermons. There's that person who used to self-destruct every time life got hard, through addiction, through disappearing, through blowing everything up. But this time, when the wave hit, they didn't run. They stayed. They felt all of it and still said, "Okay, God, I'm not quitting." To everybody else, it looks like nothing changed. But in the spirit, that one new step broke a generational pattern. That is why heaven laughs. Not because your life looks perfect, but because your yes has broken scripts that ran in your family line for decades. And this is where it gets wild. Your obedience isn't just about you. What you did today will echo through bloodlines. Children you may never meet will walk through doors your yes unlocked. Families will experience freedom because you stayed. Communities will shift because you refuse to repeat the old cycle. Heaven laughs because God already sees the legacy your obedience is building, and I've seen the other side of it personally. There was a season where I honestly thought, if I just survive, maybe that's enough. I wasn't preaching to anybody. I wasn't doing anything huge. I was just refusing to quit. Years later, people quietly told me, "Watching you keep going helped me not give up on my own life." I had no idea. My survival wasn't just mine. It was a blueprint for somebody else's breakthrough. That's what's happening with you right now. Your story is not wasted. Your scars are not useless. They're becoming a manual for others who don't yet know how to stand. That's part of why heaven laughs. Your life is more influential than you realize. And heaven's laughter also announces something else, a divine transfer. Things that were stolen will be returned with interest. Things that were withheld will be released in fullness. Let me slow this down, because this one sentence changes how everything else lands. Influence, opportunity, and provision are shifting toward people who stayed faithful when no one clapped. That's not random, that's covenant. When doors start swinging open for you, don't tiptoe through like an imposter. Walk through boldly. These are not accidents, they're assignments. The path that's opening in front of you was prepared long before you knew it existed. Heaven laughs because no barrier can keep you out of what was built with your name on it. Yes, doubts will still try to rise. Why me? Do I really deserve this? But here's the truth. It was never about deserving. It's about surrender. Heaven doesn't laugh over you because you performed perfectly. Heaven laughs because you agreed, even imperfectly, to keep saying yes. Your obedience carries eternal weight. Your surrender has altered timelines you don't even know about. And God's laughter isn't just joy, it's warfare. It destabilizes strategies of darkness. It ridicules the futility of every scheme set against you. It declares to every power of hell, this battle is already finished. What was meant to bury you has become the soil of blessing. What was meant to silence you has amplified your voice. What was meant to break you has made you unshakable. So if God is laughing, you can rest your shoulders for a second. You can unclench your jaw. You can breathe. His laughter is not careless, it's covenant. It's proof he's already seen the ending, and that ending is victory. Chosen one, as we land this plane, I want you to feel this like a weight, but a good weight sitting on your chest. Heaven is not just reacting to your big dramatic moments. Heaven is responding to the purity of your yes, especially when it feels small. The world chases noise, recognition, and spectacle. Heaven looks for sincerity, honesty, and depth. What you think is quiet, God calls holy. One small yes from a trembling heart carries more authority than 1,000 loud performances. You may feel unseen, but heaven has been leaning in. You may feel ordinary, but you are already stamped extraordinary. Stop minimizing yourself. Stop grading your worth by other people's applause. Survival itself has been a sermon, and heaven's been listening. Your resilience has been underestimated, especially by you. What tried to destroy you didn't. That alone is prophecy. If you survived that, acceleration is coming next. This is no longer just about hanging on by a thread. This is about momentum. When God laughs, the tide turns. The very ground beneath you starts preparing to yield fruit from every tear-soaked seed you've planted. The tension you've been feeling, that stirring in your spirit, that sense of something is coming but I don't know what. That's not anxiety only, that's spiritual pressure before a shift. Heaven's laughter is never silent. It shakes structures. It loosens timelines. It pulls breakthroughs from the invisible into the visible. And it all started with your yes when no would have been easier. So here's where this gets practical for you right now. If God has already laughed over your life, you don't have to live like everything is uncertain. You can stop doubting the timing. Stop doubting your worth. Stop doubting whether you're enough. If heaven has already celebrated your step, then the question is no longer if victory will manifest. It's when, and heaven's laughter always means soon. So walk differently after this. Pray like the answer is already on its way. Speak like the door is already loosening. Move like the crown already sits on your head. You're not crawling toward victory, you're advancing from it. You're not begging for approval, you're moving out of approval already given. The King has laughed over your life. That sound is your covering, your confidence, and your crown. Chosen one, if anything in this word has been reading your mail, don't just feel it and scroll away. Anchor it. Say it out loud. Type it into reality. If this felt uncomfortably accurate, don't just feel it, mark it. Type, I receive this victory, so your own eyes see your agreement. Share this with someone whose survival you already know is a miracle. And if you want to keep walking this out together, because none of us were built to do this alone, hit subscribe, stay close, and let's keep unpacking what heaven is doing in real lives like yours and mine. Because if the King is laughing over you, the ending is already written, and spoiler alert, the ending is triumph.